You might have to flash. In- Are you going to flash the questions in order?
Yes, I
Okay.
am.
Okay.
I am. Well, welcome back to our channel, everybody. This is Dr. Kengia Sabree. And in this segment of a chat with him about health information management, we are with Mr. Anthony Brooks. Hi, Anthony.
Hello.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Hello, everyone. My name is Anthony Brooks, nickname Yoda. I am a registered health information administrator and a certified coding specialist. And I look forward to doing this chat.
Okay, all right. So let's get started. Thank you. All right. So first question, the why. Why did you choose HIM?
The why. So I hope I don't age myself. So the decision came around 2008 when the economy kind of crashed in Florida and some places around the country. So I was a legal assistant and was seeking a more stable career to go into. And I did some research, and I think I read some stats and said that this is a growing sector. Um, and for some reason, that's why I chose health information management, and I started a 2-year program at St. Petersburg College. And that started my career. So I was looking for a career that would be stable, that I would not be let go from in the next year, which was happening in 2008, and that I could grow into. That's why I just chose this field.
Okay, all right. I love that. So really quick, let me just give a little backstory. Anthony and I connected at the FAHIMA conference last week. And I'm sitting here thinking, it's so funny we connected there, right? And you're a graduate of the program that I was just chair of. So we always talk about how small our profession is. But we're constantly meeting new people, and it's so funny to just see how our paths have crossed in the past or could have crossed in the past. So I think that's kind of interesting. All right, so question 2, the how. So how did you land your first job in the field?
Good question. So I guess the first thing I have to say is, which job would I consider to be the first job in health information
Okay.
management or coding? So I worked some insurance jobs that they said those are coding positions, but those are really data entry positions where you see the codes and you kind of click through to verify things. My first really full-time job as a coder, where I was the person responsible for those codes, was as a hospice coder in a hospice organization. I won't say the name, that's still in existence based in Clearwater, Florida, but they're expanding through the state. So I submitted an application. Then I had an in-person interview with someone who was the director for HIM, and her credentials were as a CCS. And we had an on-site interview. That's how we did it back then. And I remember the interview. I still remember that director. I did a good job. I answered the questions honestly. I told her about my skill set, that I was really just got my credentials. Actually, I think I started off with a CCA. Then I got
Oh,
my
I was just
CS.
about to go there. You're like
Mhm.
perfectly leading me through this story. So you did CCA before you did RHIT?
Actually, I did coding certificate
Okay.
through the educational program.
Hmm.
Then I took my CCA, obtained my CCA, then I obtained my RHIT. So those were my credentials for a while. And I was able to land a coding job with those credentials.
Perfect.
Because RHIT can also say that you can code. So
Perfect.
that's
Yep.
sufficient.
I
Um,
agree. And that's perfect, because I always try and encourage people when you get to do that progression. We all know how hard obtaining the CCS is, right? And we don't want to mislead any employer or anything like that. So CCA tells them that you're new, right? That you're still learning, or you know enough to code and to save your life.
Mhm.
But then I always say after you get at least a year or so experience, upgrade your credential to the CCS. So you did exactly that.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So hospice coder was the very first coding job.
That's right.
Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. So next question. Sorry, I went the wrong way. Okay. So since then, because you mentioned that was a while ago. So what has the journey been like for you thus far?
The journey continues. Um, so the journey has had ups and downs. So in this field, you have to know, yeah, you might know your stuff as a coder or as a health information manager, but then there's the point about the organization that you work in, the culture of the organization, and do you fit? So my journey took me from being a hospice coder to being a Army coder to being a VA coder to now being a free agent. And that took me from having my CCA to my RHIA. So the journey it still continues. Um, and I would just say to anyone struggling or looking to get started, stick to it. Once you get your foot in the door, you're in there, and keep at it.
Okay. So question, what made you pursue higher education after obtaining your RHIT?
I have the goal of um, one day being a director, but I do not know in what
Okay.
setting I would like to be a director in. So I studied for the exam to make sure that I at least have the basic understanding, the knowledge qualifications for that job. And how I take it is I want to make sure before I lead people that I know what I'm talking about. So
That's wonderful.
that's why I took the RHIA track. But
Okay.
there are different reasons. Don't take my word for why this person might choose to do that.
Right, right. No, that's completely understandable. So, I'm sorry, you just said something and my mind went somewhere else. Okay, so the settings, because you mentioned coding for hospice. What other setting? Because you said not sure what setting you want to be a director in. So what other settings have you had the pleasure of working in?
That I've had the pleasure working rehab, have HIM professionals and coders in rehab. Um, Army coding on the civilian side is totally different than coding in the VA side.
Wow.
When you're looking out for jobs, you're going to see tons of jobs to be a VA coder. That's a whole different animal. Then you have insurance coders. You have coders for physician practices. Um, all those different, and you have hospitals. You have,
Right.
yeah, there's a lot of different settings that you can work in, that I could work in, that I worked in. Um, I probably didn't even list them all.
Okay. All right. Okay. So
Medicaid,
you
Medicare. Mhm.
right there's tons. Okay. So I think you kind of answered this, right? The next step for you may be director.
Associate director.
Okay.
If I see like HIM operations, assistant director, associate director is where I would like to go next. So because
Okay.
I would like to learn, where that's where I see myself, my next position.
Okay. All right. And then I feel like you already gave us some advice. So specifically, what advice would you give other men looking to start or transition into this profession?
Hmm. Well, I'm just gonna put it out there. Be ready to work on teams with that the majority are women.
Right.
So for me, I'll say my weakness is watching my tone and
Mhm.
communication skills. So I hope I don't offend anybody because I
I
do think,
love that though. That's honest. That's very honest. And I feel like you have to be self-aware in that way, right? Um, so I love that you said that. Thank you. That is
mm,
great advice.
yes, and I'll leave it at there. I leave it there.
Okay, because I thought to dig a little bit. I thought to dig a little bit because we could, but I think that's Yeah, like leave it up to their interpretation, right?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So any last words for our audience before we go?
No last words. This was the first time doing this chat with the doctor.
Okay.
Thank you for inviting me. I had a wonderful time, and invite me back anytime.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. All right. My last slide isn't there, but thank you all, everybody, for tuning in. To learn more about the Qualified, who we are and what we do, be sure to connect with us online at www.the-qualified.com. Thank you.